Welcome, everybody, to Bayou Bets for Monday, February the 7th, 2022. Zach Ewing along with Devin Jackson and Jim Derry after a great weekend of sports action that didn't, unfortunately, include any pro football. We're not counting the Pro Bowl. We'll talk more about that briefly. But, it's a great weekend of sports. Saints fans got some bad news last night. Alvin Kamara arrested on suspicion of battery in Las Vegas after the Pro Bowl. We could talk a little bit about that. We'll talk some golf. We'll talk some basketball. Lots to get to on the show today. Just a reminder, Bayou Bets is brought to you by the Caesars Sportsbook. And we've got lots of action to talk about at Caesars. We've also got a special for you. Go to NOLA.com/Caesars and collect your $300 free bet just for betting $20 today. NOLA.com/Caesars or the promo code NOLA300. So, guys, the weekend, some ups and downs, I know, for betting and for sports. Jim, what was the highlight of your weekend?
You not being able to read the teleprompter.
What do you mean?
I think you're having a little trouble. Devin, you noticed
that?
I
was looking for the promo slide. Devin found it. I didn't know where it was.
I'm just trying to make sure you're
there
all right.
Okay. I had a menu closed that I shouldn't have had closed.
I didn't know if you just got flummoxed so bad from our best bets weekend, which was awful, or what. But
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I don't know. Yeah, I put it on the teleprompter. He's going to read it. I used to say that all the time. Don't put it on there if you don't want me to read it. Look, it was a weird weekend for me. That first weekend after football's over, because, I mean, the Super Bowl's, it's fun. We'll make prop bets. We'll have fun betting. We'll watch the game. But, Aunt Mabel's sitting there with her popcorn and Drunk Joe's talking in your ear. And, I mean, it's not, I'm used to being able to watch games by myself. My wife goes in the other room. The kids go entertain themselves, and I get to watch football. Super Bowl, everybody wants to watch. And it's you got to go to some party you don't want to be at. And, it is what it is. I'm just kind of
everybody's got an opinion about the game that you don't.
I guess I'm bummed.
I don't want to argue with them. Yeah.
And they always want to ask you because we're experts. So it's like everybody. The last week it's like everybody. I play poker every Sunday and Monday. I've made that clear to people, but I'll have 10 people come up to me. It's like, what do you think? You like the Bengals? No, I don't like the Bengals. What? No, I don't like the Bengals. Okay, they can't believe I don't like the Bengals. Then they got to go into their spiel and tell me why they like the Bengals. And okay, good for you.
And listen, 45% of the time they're going to be right. I mean,
that's right,
because it's not easy to do this.
That's
it's
right.
not easy to predict, and so and then you end up looking. Well, Jim's the expert. We'll see about that. We could talk more about that. We had the book on Thursday, but it's Super Bowl week is a whole nother story. Lots to talk about. Devin, the highlight of your weekend.
I just relaxing. I don't even know. It was definitely a weird weekend. Sunday, there was no games or anything on, so it was just a quiet day, pretty much.
Football free.
I
don't know if that's a good thing, but
no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't mind a couple of weeks off from it. I'll be honest, but you're right. By about mid-March, you have March Madness, and then after that, you're like, okay, when's football coming back? And it's still you still got 4 months.
I will say this, kind of off topic, but the highlight. I never really told you what the highlight of my weekend was. I called I do play-by-play on the side, and I had a game Saturday that had the number one team in Division I against the number one team in Class 5A. We can get into the whole split thing on another show, the split between public and private schools and high schools. But St. Paul's and Zachary, what a game. I am talking basketball, boys basketball. St. Paul's led throughout the game against a Zachary team that's probably the best team in the state. And Zachary wins it on a buzzer beater, a 3-point, 23-foot shot that was outstanding, and it's all over Twitter if you want to see it. But that was certainly the highlight of my week, and I enjoyed that more than any other thing I saw on television all week.
That was pretty good. Tim, by the way, we're not going anywhere.
We're still here.
Monday, and At the Book on Thursday is year-round. Well, I believe it's 50 weeks a year. We're going to take a couple of weeks off in the summer, but that's it. So we'll be here. Keep tuning in every Monday, every Thursday at 4 o'clock. The Fantasy Roundup is actually back tomorrow. We need to talk about that at 3:30. We're going to talk some Super Bowl props with Spencer the Guru, and some other daily fantasy type things you can do during the Super Bowl. So it's all fun. Before we get to the Super Bowl, though, let's talk two things. Number one is the Pro Bowl. And, Jim, you've made it very clear you don't watch the Pro Bowl. You take pride in the fact that you don't watch the Pro Bowl. Well,
Didn't watch single play live.
Devin, did you watch any?
Nah, I haven't watched in a couple of years.
If you like football, and if you really like football like we do, the Pro Bowl it's just not football. It's not. And my kids, I have a 9-year-old son and a 6-year-old son who both very much like football. And oh, Dad, we got to watch the Pro Bowl. It's not really real football. Yes, it is. It's all of my favorite Saints players are playing and blah blah blah. Okay, I'll turn it on. So I turned it on. I watched 3 drives. The first ended in a Kyler Murray pick 6. Where have we seen that before? And I think it was what's his name for the Colts? Leonard.
Darius Leonard.
Darius Leonard intercepted it and returned it for a touchdown. Very, very little attempt to tackle the guy after he intercepted.
No attempt.
Yeah, there was
the
some
extra point. The extra point was even funnier because I did see it on tape delay when I was at poker. We took our break and they go to kick the extra point, and Cam Jordan goes, "Yay!" Like doesn't even try to, doesn't even jump, just raises on.
And the next drive, Dalvin Cook gets a carry, and he breaks into the second level of the defense. And you're going to get to see something here. They blew the whistle before he's even touched. I guess my point is, if we're going to have a Pro Bowl, I'm fine with naming Pro Bowl players and giving them bonuses and all that, and making it a recognition thing. But if we're actually going to play the game, we got to do something. Make it flag football. Just absolve all pretenses. Make it flag football, and then maybe the guys will be competitive because you can actually stop somebody without worrying about injuring them, and you can we can actually have a fun game. But this stuff where it's half tackles and half the whistle's blown and the refs aren't really sure when to blow the whistle and nobody's really sure when to go hard. It's a total my 6-year-old could see that it was a farce. It's terrible.
We could do what Bud Selig did and say this time it counts, and whatever conference wins the Super Bowls at the host as the home site of the conference winner.
Man,
I'm completely being facetious.
Yeah, I don't know what you do though, but I do like the NFL is trying to promote flag football for youth because they're trying to delay the time that you get into full contact because of head injuries and other things. Wait until you're in 8th grade, 9th grade before you play contact football. So they're trying to promote flag football anyway. Seems like a perfect solution to me. If you guys have something else, speak up.
Yeah, don't play it. I feel about the Pro Bowl the way Devin feels about Thursday Night Football.
Well, the extra week they added to the game. Take out Thursday Night Football. Players might be a little bit happier.
But make them play hard in the Pro Bowl in exchange?
They got to put some sort of stakes on the line, I think, for it to matter at all. And I don't think money or anything like that is going to motivate them. It has to be something I agree. Long. I won't say long term, but further than that moment, because these guys are happy to have a little vacation, but they're not trying to. They don't have anything to prove.
I have an idea.
Go ahead.
I have an idea, Zach and Devin. Whatever conference wins, the MVP of the Pro Bowl, that team gets the Jets pick.
Ooh. What if the Jets get it? They get 2 picks?
Then they get, you give them a compensatory pick.
Or and this is actually kind of fun. Now that we're in a 17-game season, the conference that wins the Pro Bowl, that conference gets to host the 17th game next year.
I like that. That's a good idea.
The AFC hosted all the extra games this year, and it's the NFC next year, and it's just going to rotate. Well, just an idea,
Speaking of that, did I read that the Saints got hosed? They got to play in London. It's their home game.
One of their home games, and supposedly it's going to be a divisional
game. So now they already got screwed
out
of last year out of a home game and had to play the extra game on the road. And now, so next year they're taking a home game from them. That makes 0 sense.
Yeah, I think every team's got to take a turn with a home game in London, and it might just be their turn. But yeah,
They just played one a few years ago.
I thought that was a road game.
Yeah,
against
they're
Miami.
a road team against the Dolphins.
But that's, I mean, again, we can go on and on. The Saints have bigger problems, and it has to do with the Pro Bowl as well.
That's true. It's not going to matter.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara arrested last night in Las Vegas. The whole thing is weird, and if you haven't read the details, I encourage you to go to NOLA.com/Saints and look. Amy Just has been all over this story. The police report from Las Vegas, exactly what happened. There's a lot of sort of down and dirty details in these allegations. He hasn't been charged with anything yet, although I believe he's due in court like right now, and so the charges could be coming out any minute. But basically, Alvin Kamara was arrested on suspicion of battery with substantial bodily injury. I think I have the wording on that right. If I don't, I apologize. It's not quite right, but that's the gist of it. And it's a felony in Nevada, and it carries with it a possible prison sentence of up to 5 years. Obviously, we see these things get pled down all the time. He could plead guilty to a lesser charge, get some deal where he avoids jail time. It's not good. It's not good no matter how you put it. Basically, what happened was he and a group of friends got into an argument with a gentleman outside of an elevator, turned into a brawl. The guy was punched 24 times and kicked 33 times, according to the police report. 8 of those punches, approximately 8, came from Kamara, including 3 after he was already on the ground. It's not good. It's not good. Whether it's not good, hey, he made a stupid mistake while after drinking, or whether it's not good, he committed a felony, I'm not sure, but it's not good.
It's not good in a multitude of ways. I mean, you're talking about, I mean, you can't, they're not going to plead down to where he's not going to get jail time, I wouldn't think. And I mean, I haven't seen the video, so I'm going by if
the video's not public. It's just what the police said
right. So
in the video. So yeah,
if what I'm reading from police reports is true, and he kicked a man after he had been punched and knocked down to the ground, even if for some reason you're claiming self-defense, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I can't see. I mean, it's pretty tough to beat that. And honestly, you know, feelings about your home team aside or whatever, I mean, there's no defensing that whatsoever. And we have seen the NFL come down hard on these kinds of things. So even if he doesn't see jail time, which to me, again, if what I read actually happened and video shows that what is said happened, I mean, you're talking about a year suspension.
Yeah, and it could be, and it's going to be a difficult thing for whoever the Saints' new coach is to deal with too. I mean, you already are going to be breaking in possibly a new starting quarterback or bringing Jameis Winston back from injury, and now you may be without your star player.
Why do you think? I mean, either one of you can answer this question because I can't. Why do you think they let him play in the game?
Well, that's another one of those details that is really, really interesting / disturbing. And so this incident occurred allegedly at 6:30 a.m. Saturday, Las Vegas time. The man did not call police and give a statement until 5:50 p.m. Saturday. So there was a 12-hour delay right there. But then Kamara was not questioned and arrested until after the Pro Bowl, almost 24 hours later, which like 5 o'clock Las Vegas time, Sunday. So I don't know, number one, maybe the man was so badly hurt he couldn't call for the first 11 hours. I don't know. But then why would there be another 23-hour delay after that before they question Kamara? That doesn't really add up to me. And like you said, they let him play in the game. I mean, they knew where he was. They could have arrested him before the game.
Exactly.
So
and not made a public spectacle of anything. You could have gone there 2 hours before the game, wait for him to get there, or go in the locker room and can we talk to you outside? And you're going. I mean,
by the way, I want to clarify something. I do not believe Kamara was alleged to have kicked the man while he was down. I'm reading straight from Amy Just's story, which again, NOLA.com if you want the details. Based on surveillance video obtained by police, Kamara was not the first person to throw a punch. After the first punch was thrown, Kamara allegedly joined in and punched the victim several times, according to the report. The victim moved back as Kamara continued to punch him, according to the report, and shortly thereafter lost consciousness and fell to the ground. The victim, in his interview with police, remembered being punched and kicked by multiple people before falling. According to the video obtained by police, Kamara continued to punch the victim 3 more times while the victim was on the ground. The 3 others police said were involved joined in and began stomping on the victim's face, chest, and legs. So, again, the video is the key here. You got to figure out exactly who did what, right? Was it, and you're splitting hairs. I mean, they're all guilty of something if this is proven to be true. But who threw the first punch? Who actually threw the punches that caused the damage? I mean, those are questions we don't have answers to, and they'll be hashed out in court, obviously.
Go ahead, Devin.
I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just disappointing, just from, you expect, guys like that to, and he's conducted himself really well,
Yes,
with the media and just.
That's what makes it so shocking, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to, I guess, you wrap your mind around him being in that type of situation. So obviously we're going to wait for the details to continue to come out, but it's not a good look, just in general, just to be involved in something like that, while you're at the Pro Bowl too as well. So it's just disappointing all around, and it's not good for the Saints either. They just finished up a 8-hour interview with Eric Bieniemy yesterday, and then that came out like right after with the reports of that. So Saints just aren't in a good situation right now, just in general.
No, and again, we don't know a lot of details. This thing is changing literally by the hour. He's supposed to be in court this afternoon, which is when charges may or may not be filed. Then he's due back in court, I think, in March. I mean, if charges are filed, and so there's a lot going on here that we don't know. But again, there is video of the event, and Kamara basically admitted to hitting the man. So in his interview with police, and so it's not a good situation no matter what. So we did want to get that out of the way. We'll continue to follow it. We think the Saints may have a new coach this week. Jeff Duncan reporting possibly as early as tomorrow. We could hear the Saints' new coach, whether it be Dennis Allen, Eric Bieniemy, Aaron Glenn they interviewed, Brian Flores they interviewed, and Darren Rizzi was the other one, their special teams coordinator. So those are the 5 who interviewed and have not yet taken another job. So could be one of those. In the meantime, of course, it's Super Bowl week, and this is a sports betting show, and so we're going to kind of awkwardly transition here on Bayou Bets from that to the Super Bowl. And, of course, we know the line. The Rams 4.5-point favorites here against Cincinnati. The total is 48.5. Those numbers have kind of changed here and there. I know the line went down to 4 for a few hours at one point over the weekend. Now it's back up to 4.5. Jim, we were talking earlier today, and it sounds like this is sort of setting up as a pros versus Joes for you a little bit with Rams and Bengals.
I think there's no doubt about that. I think that's clear that it's going to be. And this is one of those situations where if you like the Bengals, you need to jump on it now because that line is not going to go up any higher. It's going to be 4.5, and I would be willing to bet by Sunday. You might even get lucky and get a 3.5. I don't think it'll go that low, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did. I would be surprised if it doesn't go to 4. So if you like the Bengals, now's the time to bet it. If you like the Rams, wait till Saturday or Sunday morning.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this: if it ever does go to 3.5, it's going to get pounced on by a lot of people, and it will move back up to 4 quickly. So
correct.
Keep an eye on that Caesars Sportsbook app because if it does move down to a number you like, you want to hop on it. So
I'm more inclined to, and then we can get into we're going to get more in our picks on Thursday, and I still haven't finished my handicapping, but that number's weird. I'm more inclined to probably just, if the money line gets down to like 170, I'd be more tempted to take the Rams there on the money line because weird things can happen. I've made it clear that I've got a lot of futures riding on both sides, so I'm not going to bet a whole lot on totals or money lines or spreads. I'm probably going to put most of my money that I bet on this game on props. But I think the Rams money line, if it gets down to like 170, you can get a real bargain.
Yeah, and maybe even at minus 180, minus 190. You don't see these lines shift a ton in the last week usually because so much money's already been bet on the game. But keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. So
interesting note. I was hearing today. Sorry, Devin. I just want to say that I heard a stat today that I don't know where they got this info from, but some people that I listen to and respect, they say that 55% of the money bet on the Super Bowl will be bet on props. So it's interesting that maybe the lines don't change as much because more money's going into the prop side of it.
Yeah, no, I believe that because I know a lot of sharps will bet on the props because this is what they do for a living, right? And if they don't like one side or the other, then they'll look at the prop market because that's where there are values to be made, and it's just a numbers game. There's hundreds of props out there. You're more likely to find a value there than you are on either side or total when you've only got really two chances to do it. Devin, anything has changed on your end as far as you're thinking on this game?
I don't think so. I think I'm still leaning Bengals, but I have thought a lot about over the weekend that how the Rams could essentially break the game open and win by double digits. I mean, as much as Joe Burrow has played really well this year, and he's done extraordinary things. I just have to think with 2 weeks to prepare that the Rams are gonna throw some new things that he either hasn't seen or struggles against. So. I'm still leaning Bengals for now, but I think over the course of the week, as I kind of think more about the game and the possibilities of it, it may flip to the Rams because I just think they're the better team in going into this game, and I trust their coaching a little bit more in terms of what their defensive minds and what they all have going for them this year, and how they were able to stifle their opponents that they play this year as well. I mean, you look at the 49ers and Bucks game. I mean, their defense dominated. So I'm getting a little worried about the Bengals in terms of how they're going to prepare and if they're going to have a really good game plan going against the Rams because Burrow can be great, but I just worry about how they're going to be able to handle the constant pressure he's going to be under again.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against a team on a streak, and Joe Burrow and the Bengals are certainly on a streak. And here's your MVP odds from Caesars, by the way. Again, I kind of like, if you like the Bengals, I like the idea of betting Burrow to win the MVP because you're getting plus 170 on the money line. Well, you might as well take the odds boost there and get him at plus 220 because if the Bengals win, there's like a 98% chance Joe Burrow's the MVP, right? We talked about this last week. So, but if you don't think the Bengals are going to win, it becomes a little more interesting because Cooper Kupp is obviously a hot name. And I look at a couple here too, guys. OBJ and Aaron Donald are both lower odds than I originally would have thought, 16-1 and 18-1. And that makes me think that maybe some money has rolled in on those guys. If you see a strong defensive performance, could Aaron Donald be the first defensive MVP since his teammate Von Miller won it for the Broncos in Super Bowl 50? And then OBJ, I mean, we talked about this last week too. The secondary receivers have a big opportunity in this game as well.
If you like Aaron Donald, bet it now. It's already at plus 1,200 on MGM, so it's dropping. So I think there are a lot of sharp money's probably come on that bet. I think I saw Von Miller at like 40-1, and I think you can pick a couple different defensive players and put a little bit of money on them. I think there's a very decent chance that a Rams defensive player wins the MVP because I really, we've said it before. And if Tennessee was able to sack Joe Burrow 9 times, forget about that the Chiefs weren't able to do it. That doesn't matter to me. I think the Rams are going to be all over them in this game.
Yeah, and I will point out here, just because he's at the top of the list, I see no value at all on Matt Stafford there. I really don't.
Zero.
I mean, obviously, a quarterback is most likely player to win the MVP, and the Rams are most likely to win. So from that perspective, Stafford's probably your most likely MVP. But I think there's other places to put your money if that's what you like.
Yep.
You could bet Stafford over 1.5 touchdown passes over his yardage prop, whatever. Do a same game parlay with the Rams to win. All those things could happen, and he still doesn't win the MVP. So I don't see any value there. You're watching Bayou Bets here on bet.NOLA.com. We're brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook. A reminder, you can go to NOLA.com/Caesars. If you haven't already signed up for new customers, you bet $20, you get $300 in free bets. And so it's a great time to do it before the Super Bowl. And that's a great time, not just because you can bet on the game, but like Jim was saying, the prop market is all over the place. And here's a prop that we were talking about earlier today as well. But by the way, if you want to talk more props, the Fantasy Roundup tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. on these same channels. Spencer and Jim and I, we're going to go through every prop you could think of. I mean, we're going to talk everything Super Bowl prop bet related. So tune into the fantasy roundup tomorrow. But I picked out a few for today that I know we had talked about. Look, these numbers are great. Joe Burrow's not throwing for 6 touchdown passes. I wouldn't put $1 on it.
I put 10 cents on it there.
Maybe 10 cents. But I will say, go ahead, Devin.
I was going to say, if he throws 6 touchdowns, I mean, it's the Bengals are just the team of destiny. It just has to be. I mean, I would be floored if he got more than like 3 or 4 in this game, but 6, I just can't see it.
And I mean, and that's why that's why it's 80-1. I mean, I will say this, however, he's only thrown for 4 touchdown passes once in his career. That was in week 17 against the Chiefs in that, the game where they had that crazy comeback. He obviously played very well against the Chiefs in the second half last week too. But to me, there's a little bit of a discrepancy here, and I don't want to sound like the bad guy who doesn't like Joe Burrow because I think he's a great player. But if you're looking at the odds of him to throw 4 touchdown passes at 8-1 or 0 at plus 850, I think there's a much better chance he throws for no touchdown passes than 4.
100%.
I do.
I'm all over that.
Against the Rams defense, I mean,
I don't think. I think there's a decent chance the Bengals don't score a touchdown. Period.
Do I think it's more than 50-50 he doesn't throw a touchdown pass? No. I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say he throws 1 or 2. But there's more than a 12% implied probability there on plus 850 that he doesn't throw any. He didn't throw any against the Titans a couple weeks ago. Bengals still won the game, but again, we're talking about the pressure that he's under. I just think it's real easy in the prop market to get starry-eyed and say, Joe Burrow's been playing great, man. Give me 4 touchdown passes. Hold on. He's done that once in his career. As good as his career's been so far, he's done that once. But
there isn't a square on the planet that is going to bet the 0 there because the casual bettor, they just go and they bet with their hearts. Or they
I like that, Marianne. She's proven our point. I want to bet that y'all are wrong, and I get it. I get it. I think it'd be great if Joe Burrow threw 4 touchdown passes. I'm just looking at it from a mathematical perspective. I'm not laying 8-1 on that.
No, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to. But I mean, it just look. I don't think any of us are rooting against Joe Burrow. Like I said, I have futures on both, so I win no matter what. I don't care. I honestly don't care who wins the game. I mean, I guess in my heart of hearts, I'm rooting for Joe Burrow to win. It would be fun. It'd be fun for the area. It gives us some rooting interest in the grand scheme of things. Saints fans hate the Rams. I get that, the no call, blah, blah, blah. But for me personally, I'm cashing a ticket either way. And so it makes it a lot easier to look at it objectively because I don't really care. So, I mean, prop bets are going to be my thing. And I see Joe Burrow it's not going to be Joe Burrow's fault. I think his O-line is just, this is as bad a matchup as he could have probably asked for. I mean, they'd be better off playing Green Bay here.
Yeah, and I want to correct myself, by the way. He has thrown for 4 touchdown passes twice. It was in back-to-back weeks. It was against the Ravens and Chiefs. The Ravens game was the one where he threw for 500 and something yards, epic performance. But the Rams are better defensively than both of those teams. And this is not even necessarily an indictment of Burrow as much as I think his offensive line is going to have real trouble with that Rams defensive line. And that we saw it in the Super Bowl last year. Patrick Mahomes, the most talented quarterback on the planet, had huge problems because his offensive line had some injuries, and they were completely overmatched in that game last year. And so that's where I look at that and think, again, not rooting against the guy, but if I'm looking at value, I'm looking at what the stats tell me. Jim, how many more times are we going to hear that you're cashing either way?
Oh, plenty.
We got to emphasize. Listen, we'll get to daily best bets later. We got to.
Let me just ask you, and I mean, you could call it tooting my own horn if you want. It takes a lot of luck. There's a lot of luck involved in it. But I bet 4 futures, and I bet the 2 biggest ones hit. I mean, that happens once every decade if you're lucky. I mean, even if you're good. I mean, to even have 4. I mean, 3 of my final 4 were in the championship round. So I mean,
it's fantastic.
I mean,
you can never do that.
It's also a lot of luck. Yeah. No, I mean, it's like doing your bracket and getting your final 4 correct, and one of them's a 6 seed and another one's a 3 seed. I mean, I think I've only predicted the final 4 correct maybe 3 or 4 times in my life.
And a lot of times those are the brackets where you're like, oh, I'm going to fill out an extra bracket that's just crazy, and that's the one that ends up being great. So, yeah, I mean, there's luck involved, but yeah, you're not going to get
answer the big next question. You're going to hear it a lot all week long. If you don't like it, don't listen, because I don't get a chance to do this very often and say, hey, I was right. So you'll hear it on Datitude tomorrow. You'll hear it probably on Bayou Bets on Thursday, and you'll hear it on Datitude again on Friday.
I was thinking about this,
question.
Jim. When you're going hot like you are now, we're going to call you Jim Derry, and when it goes the other way, we're just going to reverse it and call you Dim Jerry, and that's going to be. You sound like you've heard that before.
Well, I've heard that before, and you'd be surprised since my email address is jderry at The Advocate, and it's always been jderry at something. How many times I get an email that starts off with, "Hey Jerry."
Okay.
You could call me lots of things. You can call me bad words. Just don't call me Jerry.
Okay. All right.
So now I open the door for you to call me Jerry.
Yeah. It's settled then. A couple other LSU-related touchdown props that I wanted to highlight. Jamar Chase, minus 115 to score a touchdown, plus 470 to score 2. I mean, again, he's going to be on – Jalen Ramsey's going to be on him. So I don't know.
What's the bet ticket 0?
I do not believe – I did not see, at least at Caesars, where you could bet a 0 on Jamar Chase.
That's a scammy.
Because, yeah, I mean, you're right. If it was regular odds, you'd be getting 0 at either even money or maybe a plus 105, even a minus 105 maybe. And to me, that'd be –
give me a 0.
That might be the bet here. Yeah, I don't know. I mean – you're gonna have fun on Datitude.
Will y'all stop giving him publicity? He's got enough. He's already his head's about.
He's gonna have fun on Datitude this week. You got to tune into Datitude on Friday.
Yeah, it's as big as this room right here. Stop giving him it.
I love it. If I was going to bet a Jamar Chase touchdown prop, Devin, I like the bottom two a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
First Bengals touchdown. I mean, look, that's plus 350. Where to score the game's first touchdown overall is plus 650. Why is the Bengals one more than half? There's more value there for me. And then if you're going, like, I think there's a good chance that if the Bengals win, Chase is a part of it. And so I like that bottom one too, to get a touchdown and the Bengals win at plus 375.
I kind of like the game's last touchdown as well, because if the game gets out of hand, obviously the Rams are going to play very soft towards the end of the game. So if they're down, if the Bengals are down a couple of scores, I could see a scenario where the Bengals drive down the field and they score a touchdown with like 30 seconds left just to, finish out the game strong. So I think that game's last touchdown is intriguing too, especially if the game gets out of hand. Maybe that's one to watch live betting wise, especially if the game starts to, go the Rams' way and the Bengals get down a couple scores late in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing.
I don't know if you'll be able to see that live betting though. I don't know if these props are still going to be around once the game starts.
Well, you can. I was going to say you can usually get who will score the next touchdown live. Yeah. And so if it's late in the game and the Bengals are, have a drive when maybe they're down by 14 or something, and I'm just totally throwing out a hypothetical here.
Yeah, but you won't get a plus 600 on that.
No, You wouldn't get a plus 600, but you might get player to score next touchdown, Jamar Chase at plus 200.
Yeah.
And maybe at that point it'd be worth it. But yeah, some of these props. Look, you got to be careful because a lot of these are meant to sort of tease you to say, "Oh yeah, Jamar Chase scored a touchdown." I'm
gonna tell you one that you talk about that and just seeing that and then like you just jump all over something. There was one I saw earlier that I was about to jump on, and then I went and looked at game logs and I'm said, "Oh, that there's a prop in there. Will both quarterbacks have positive rushing yards?" Or maybe it says will either quarterback not have or however it says. So I'm like, well, they're not going to have negative rushing yards. The sacks don't count as a loss. Let me go look. Stafford's had negative rushing yards like 7 times, and Burrow's done it, let's see, twice this year. So, I mean, I thought that was the easy bet, and then I'm like, okay, well, now I get it. I'm not betting that.
Sacks don't count as negative rushing yards, but kneel downs do. And so if you get Stafford hardly ever rushes. If you get a situation where he's got 0 or 1 rushing yards at the end of the game and he's kneeling down, you finish with -3 and you lost the bet. So that's a tough one there. last one we'll do for today, and again, 3:30 tomorrow, we'll talk a lot of props. OBJ touchdown pass catches on the other side. And I kind of like the last one here. Like, if you think the Rams win, you could get a nice little boost on that money line if OBJ catches a touchdown at plus 180. But other than that, I don't know there's a ton of value here.
I like the 2 or more for 600. They're going to be, I mean, and we say this all the time, and he still scores, Cooper Kupp. But look, who likes the spotlight more than OBJ? No one. And I just think that he's going to be, Eli Apple's going to probably be on him, and we've all seen Eli Apple get burned before. So I think it's 6 to 1. I think that's a good price right there. I like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could see that, and especially if the Bengals are going to bracket and or double Cooper Kupp on the other side. OBJ is a pretty talented guy to leave in single coverage against Eli Apple or one of the other backup cornerbacks over there.
Yeah,
Devin, what do you think?
I kind of like the game's first touchdown because we know they're going to send a lot of bodies at Cooper Kupp, and I could see a scenario where one of the first plays of the game, they try and take a deep shot, try to, maybe move Kupp around, in motion, give OBJ a one-on-one on the backside and just take a deep shot. So kind of like the game's first touchdown prop bet for OBJ, considering that, the Bengals are going to have a lot of eyes on Cooper Kupp, the running game for the Rams as well. So maybe they get a deep ball early on, and OBJ is able to convert and score the touchdown.
And I would add to that, if you like that at 7 to 1, you've got to like Rams first touchdown at 5 to 1 because that takes away the uncertainty of who might score a touchdown first. And you're still getting pretty good odds there. You're getting far better than half of the game's first touchdown. So from that line of thinking, I like that too. Once again, this is Bayou Bets on bet.NOLA.com. Tomorrow, the Fantasy Roundup will be the Super Bowl prop special at 3:30 p.m. on these same channels. We'll have At the Book on Thursday. Jim, you going down to the casino this week? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me.
So you'll be at the book on Thursday, and I think the Pelicans have a game that night, and so we'll have a lot to talk about on Thursday. Pelicans are playing better, by the way. Want to recap some basketball over the weekend. We'll start with college, where the local team is not playing so well. I guarantee you that LSU is better than this, the way they've played the last 3 weeks. I also guarantee you they're not as good as they were playing when they were in the top 10. And yours truly was saying, they're a sleeper bet to win the SEC. Get them at 10 to 1. Well, they're clearly not going to win the SEC. In fact, at this point, they're not even going to get one of those double byes in the SEC. They're not going to finish in the top 4. Part of that is injuries. Jim, I don't know how much you've watched them, or Devin, but part of it, too, is that this team just has trouble getting a bucket when they really need it.
Something's going on, Zach. I don't know what it is, but whenever you see a team there's no other way to explain it. Something's going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. There's no other way to explain how poorly they played. And it all started with Will Wade going ballistic a few weeks ago and acting like a clown. And ever since then, they've played horribly. So I don't know if they're losing faith in their coach, if something's going on in the locker room, if whatever. But we've seen these things happen to other teams, and not just at the college level, certainly at the pro level. And so I'm not sure, but they better right the ship pretty soon, because you could see a team go from 15-1 to a coach being on the hot seat in a really quick hurry.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing about Will Wade. We talk about some of the NCAA investigations and things like that, and he's never come close to being fired from the simple perspective of he wins. Well, he stops winning, all of a sudden that stuff becomes more of a question mark. By the way, my second to last entry there is clearly left over from an old template. That is supposed to be Kentucky beating Alabama by a score of 66-55 on Saturday night. So a big win for Kentucky. Kansas bounced back. Kentucky trounced Kansas a week ago. They beat Baylor badly. Auburn was a 16-point favorite, had to hang on by their Tiger Claws at Georgia.
Duke was my bet of the weekend, by the way. That was my best non-golf bet of the weekend.
Where was it for daily best bets, man?
I should have put it in there, but I didn't have a line. When I put it in there, the line wasn't up yet.
Yeah.
But that was Coach K wasn't going into the Dean Dome for the last time and losing.
Boy, they looked really good. I still don't think Duke is going to win the title. I don't think they're good enough defensively, but
I like my 13-1 ticket.
They look really good. NBA, the other local team faring pretty well. The Pelicans go to Denver and get an upset win on Friday night. Then if you look at the fourth entry down there, turn around and covered in Houston last night. They are now in the number 10 spot in the Western Conference. So if the season ended today, they'd be in the play-in. And by the way, their next 5 games are at home. They played 5 more road games than they have home games. So they get a chance to go on a little bit of a run here. They get Houston tomorrow night, just kick that off, and then I think they play Miami on Thursday. So it's worth going out to see the Pelicans. They're playing hard. Brandon Ingram's playing real well. Honestly, probably ought to be an all-star reserve. I don't know if he will be. And then the other story in the NBA, Devin, the Brooklyn Nets have lost, is it 7 in a row or 8 in a row now? They got trounced in Denver themselves yesterday.
Yeah, I think 7 in a row. But yeah, they've been really playing some really terrible basketball as of late. And obviously Kevin Durant's sidelined. Kyrie Irving is not playing every single game. There was talk of James Harden possibly be on the move, but they say he's not going to be traded. But they're just in the rut right now, and they badly need the All-Star break to kind of reset and try and get back on track. But they were at the 1 seed at one point in the East. Now they're, I believe, in the play-in kind of through 7th.
Yeah, I think they're 7th. Yeah, they would be in the play-in if the season ended today, which can you imagine the Lakers and Nets, the preseason NBA title favorites who, by the way, on this show, we all said none of us liked at those prices, but I don't think any of us expected them both to be in the play-in. But
injuries are killer in the NBA compared to the NFL because you're depending on 1-2 guys to be the majority of your scoring, and when they're not there, they don't have the depth to be a contender. So they're going to need a serious run after All-Star break just to get a favorable seed in playoff time because everyone else is playing fantastic in the East. So I don't think they're going to catch the Bucks or anyone near the top by the end of the season.
And it's interesting, Jim. We talk about the Pelicans, and Devin mentioned injuries. Like, it's becoming a bigger and bigger if Zion Williamson ever comes back this year because we're more than halfway through the year now, and he hasn't shown any signs of being ready at any point. If he comes back, the Pelicans suddenly become dangerous in that play-in tournament because right now the Blazers are the closest team to them, and the Blazers basically gave up on the season. They traded 2 starters to the Clippers last week, Robert Covington and Norman Powell. They're playing terribly. They're going to drop off. The only other team I think capable of catching New Orleans would be San Antonio, who I think they play next Saturday. But the Pelicans are better than San Antonio. I mean, if they could get into that play-in and get healthy, you never know.
I got to be honest. I hope Zion doesn't come back. I think he's a distraction, and I like this young team the way they're playing. And it's like I said before, they were 3-16 or 3-19 or whatever it was. When people kept asking, "When's Zion coming back? When's Zion coming back?" Once they realized and got the word he's not coming back anytime soon, they started playing better basketball. And I think the job that Willie Green has done with his team is phenomenal. I said
Willie Green's done a hell of a job.
I think when they hired him, I really like this hire, and whether it takes him a little while to adapt to being a head coach in the NBA, it hasn't taken him very long. Because even they played well, even in like the games that BI has missed and Valanciunas has missed, they still played well. So I almost hope that he doesn't come back. So I don't know what it would be if and when he does, if it would be a distraction or if it would really help. How much would he play? Are we going to do what we did before? And he plays like exactly 4 minutes a quarter and all that just obnoxious stuff. So I like this young Pelicans team, and I'm okay if he doesn't come back. And if they get the play-in game and, they bow out early or whatever, and they find a way to come back and win like 32 games or something or 33 games, I mean, that would be quite an accomplishment for this team considering where they were.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like if you look at their schedule, the January schedule was extremely difficult. They finished it only a couple games under 500. The February schedule is much easier.
Yep.
They got a lot of home games. We mentioned the trip to Houston yesterday. They got Houston again tomorrow. I mean, they have a chance to creep closer to 500. This team is 500, I believe, or maybe one game under when Brandon Ingram plays. They're like 2-12 when he's out, and they're 19-20 or whatever it is when he plays, or maybe it's 20-20 after.
They're above 500. They're above 500 since their opening stretch of just abysmal
1-12. Yeah. So I mean, they're pretty good anyway. My answer to that is you always take more talent. I get what you're saying. I don't know that you want Zion to come back 3 days before the play-in tournament and try to integrate him, but if he could come back 3 weeks before the play-in tournament,
maybe
I think you take him 100% and just figure out the rotations from there, because the guy's far too talented, especially in the offensive end, to not help you. And if you're going to beat the Lakers or Clippers in a play-in, you're going to need him.
Don't misunderstand me. I mean, if he could come back and play, great. But don't say you're going to come back and then maybe it's going to be next week, and then you start talking about it, and then you end up talking about it for 2 weeks, whether it happens or not, and then that's all the talk is about Zion. And it becomes
and that's not Zion's fault.
I'm not saying it is.
That's the Pelicans, their messaging has been terrible on this. It really has.
I almost hope they keep it a secret if he's going to come back, even if they know. At this point, I always talk about being transparent. Well, you haven't been transparent, so you know what? Just at this point, just keep it a secret. And guess what? He's coming back Friday night. Great.
Can you imagine?
That's what I hope they do.
Can you imagine being in that arena, like, this weekend against the Spurs, and Zion comes out there and his warm-ups? The crowd. The place would probably only be half full. Honestly, it probably would be. And yet the people there, all of a sudden you wonder if there'd be a walk-up crowd of people walking down Poydras going, what? And let me go get a ticket. Anyway, speaking of things that probably won't happen, I don't know where I was going with that transition, but I want to pick the Band-Aid of daily best bets because they just haven't happened for us this week. The only win was Jim's pick of Ohio State on Sunday. Just hasn't been good, guys. Just hasn't been. Maybe we need to have Devin do these more.
Devin definitely needs to do it, and I can tell you this: Devin's going to be doing it starting next early September. The Friday for Saturday night guy is going to be Devin Jackson. That's for sure.
Yeah. So every day we post our daily best bets on bet.NOLA.com, and we started out pretty well. I think we're actually still basically basing everything on a $10 bet, and for our best bet of the day, a little bit more than that, and keeping track of our profit or loss from there. And we started out pretty well, have not done well this week. We're still only $30 or $40 down for the season. Here's Monday's best bets. The first two are from Spencer the Guru. This is a Caesars odds boost at the top. Steph Curry and Devin Booker both to go over 19.5 points tonight is even money, and those guys both average about 26 per game. Now, I will say, with these prop bets, with these player prop bets, you have to look at the median and not the mean. You can't just say, they average 26 points, they're both going over 20. Boom. Well, Steph Curry's actually had, I want to say it's like 4 games in his last 10 where he has not gone over 20 points. So even though his average is way over there, he does have games where he doesn't. So this is not a sure thing, but I do like the value there, guys.
Yeah, I like the value too. When you think about it, this is a big game for both teams. Two of the best teams in the Western Conference. So you have to believe that, Steph Curry is going to show up ready to play, and he's going to, we assume that he's going to have a big night for them to win the game as well. Same thing with Devin Booker. I think both want to prove that they're the best team in the West. So I think that's a pretty good bet.
Golden State is playing Oklahoma City, and Phoenix is playing Chicago. So those are the bets. Both teams favored by quite a bit. So you also run the risk of, hey, one of these guys got 17 points and their team's up by 25 points in the fourth quarter, and they just get the rest of the night off. So there's a little bit of risk there, but I do like the value at even money. Spencer took the Jazz over the Knicks as well. That line is 8 in a lot of places, but I believe it was at BetMGM. You could still get 7.5. So if you like the Jazz, shop around. And then I provided the last one here, guys. I like going off the board on some of this stuff. Canada-U.S. women's hockey at the Beijing Olympics. Canada minus 1.5 is plus 200. And listen, these are clearly the two best teams in the world. The U.S. won the gold 4 years ago. Canada has been kicking butt. I mean, they're winning every game like 12-1. And the U.S. is winning like 5-1, 5-0, 5-2. I think Canada's got more firepower. I kind of like it, that shot at minus 1.5 there. Who's staying up to watch that, by the way?
I'd rather watch 4 Pro Bowls than 1 second of the Olympics.
Man, That's harsh.
Not watching it.
That's harsh, man. That's un-American.
But I do have a pick for you. That's not on Best Bets. I've been doing pretty well with. I haven't put these kind of things up there, but I've been putting the two fairly big favorites in college basketball with a small favorite and doing like a 3-leg parlay. And I've been hitting a lot of these lately. So I haven't quite been sharing them, but I like the one I'm doing tonight. So I'm going to share tonight. You got Duke playing Virginia. Obviously, I'm picking Duke there. I think they're an 11-point favorite. Richmond over George Mason. George Mason has been up and down all year. They're kind of in a funk right now. And so I like those two. And so I had to pick one to go with it. And I'm going to take Kansas over Texas. You put those three together in a 3-leg, just got to win, no spreads. You get plus 264 on it. So
I will say, and I'm anti-Kansas. Everybody who knows me knows that, but I like Texas tonight. Now, I liked Kansas on Saturday against Baylor. I think there's a little bit of a letdown there. They're on the road. Texas got a great defense, so I actually I like the idea that
Kansas is able to adapt. Though they're one of these teams that Texas likes to play this half-court game, and I think Kansas is able to adapt. They don't have to play games in the 70s and 80s. They could play a lower scoring game, and I think that I think this is a good place to put them into. I didn't put a bunch on it, but I've been fairly successful with these 3-leggers, two big favorites and a semi-favorite.
Well, and the great thing about that, you're getting plus 260. You only have to hit half of them, not even half of them, 1 out of 3, and you're going to be making money.
Right.
So,
right.
But by the way, a little bit of an update before we wrap things up. Alvin Kamara will not be appearing in court today. His next court date is March the 8th.
Is he still in jail?
No, he was released on bond this morning, which I suppose raises the question when I just assumed the charges would come at the court appearance this afternoon. So I don't know when those will come down now. Will they wait till March the 8th to file charges? If so, he's going to be in a little bit of legal limbo for a month. But that is the word from our Amy Justice. They are waiting. And with that, I'd like to wrap things up. A little bit of golf talk, too. I know we talked a lot about it last week, and one of the guys that we recommended was Tom Hoge. He ended up winning the PGA event at Pebble Beach last week. So this week they're going to Phoenix, the Waste Management Open. It's always the Super Bowl weekend. They always have the big party. What is that, the 13th green, where they have the big party atmosphere in Phoenix, and then it always wraps up early on Sunday. You finish watching it. That leads into the Super Bowl pregame. So it's a fun event. A lot of big names. And so we'll be talking a lot about that this week on At the Book on Thursday as well.
18 of the top 30 players in the world will be playing in this thing. And, a few of them, it'll be interesting to see which of the ones, and I haven't looked at the whole field yet, but which ones are coming over from Dubai. So, Spieth hasn't been good on Sunday in 5 years. Guess who told me to make that bet? Uncle Numbnuts.
I guess he's talking about his own bet.
Maybe, I don't know what he's talking about.
Spieth under 60. Spieth under 67.
I'll show you the text where he said Spieth's going to be fantastic tomorrow.
By the way,
just looking for publicity.
Jordan Spieth's lucky to be freaking alive after that shot he made on Saturday on the cliff edge. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
God. My heart was fluttering just watching the video of that thing.
I will say this. I think Jordan Spieth's going to have a good week this week. This is a perfect kind of setup for him. So I think he's going to have a good week this week. Maybe not win, but I'll like the top 10-ish. The one thing about this tournament is it's a lot of big names. So this isn't a good week to go find yourself a 100-to-1 shot. I don't think it's going to be one of those 100-to-1 shots. Too many good players playing.
There are a lot of good players playing, and it's a fun weekend. And by the way, when the Super Bowl ends, we still don't know when the hell baseball season is going to start. And so you're going to have basketball and you're going to have golf, and we're going to be talking a lot about that once the Super Bowl is over. So that about wraps it up for Bayou Bets for today. How about some final thoughts, gentlemen? Devin, you first.
Take a look at those prop bets. Mess around with it and try to get on some of those early, because once Thursday and Friday hit, it's going to be a lot of that changing most likely as we head into the weekend. So I would say get a head start on those prop bets if they haven't already, and take a look at what all they have to offer, and like Jim said, be careful about which ones you decide playing, because it can be a little deceiving.
Jim Derry, final thought? Jerry?
You call me Jerry. You can just don't call me Johnson. Anyway, that's if you're not over 45, you have no idea what that joke means.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll tell you later. I think that this is a great week for people. If they have not listened to Datitude, this is the perfect week to listen. We have some great guests coming on, especially on tomorrow's show. Adam, you're gonna have to tell me his last name, Zach, from Covers. What's his last name?
Adam Chernoff. Yeah.
Adam Chernoff. We had him on a couple of weeks ago. He was an outstanding guest, and we're going to talk to him about not so much about what to bet, but how to bet and how to look into, how to pick some of these props and how to keep it so you don't have $500 flying around on 80 bets, right? And just his philosophy and his thinking on spreads and totals and all those sorts of things. It's going to be a good day. And then also later on in the show tomorrow, Trey Winga. We had him on last week. So just really excited about tomorrow's Datitude. Friday, I'm working on a big guest that is not Uncle Big Nick. He's getting like 4 minutes Friday. That's all he's getting. I can't.
Give us a tease, though. What is it? Another media person? What are we working on?
It is a media person, the local media person that I'm working on getting. I'll say it. I haven't confirmed it with him, but Mike Detillier is tentatively scheduled for Friday's show. He doesn't know 100% if he can do it or not. So we're working on that for Friday. But also, I'm going to probably have Duncan on again later this week when we know more about not just Alvin Kamara, but when we know more. I'm guessing we're going to have a Saints coach before Friday's show.
I think we're going to have one tomorrow. I do.
Yeah, might be. So there's a good chance. And we may do a special Datitude if it comes down to it. If we do get a Saints coach, we could pop in and do an extra one. So it's going to be a jam-packed week here on Bayou Bets. We're also talking about what prop bets we're doing and all that good stuff. Also in Datitude all week long. So check it out. Anywhere you go to listen to podcasts, you can find Datitude. You can also find it here on bet.NOLA.com.
Yep. And for your run, for your drive, for your yard work, whatever you might be doing, podcast, fantastic way to do it.
And the good thing about it, Zach, is when Uncle Big Nick comes on, you take your finger and you slide on that little button, you move it over like 5-6 minutes, and then you can just skip right over.
My favorite thing to do is to put you guys on 1.5 speed. You both sound real funny. So that's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Hey, my final thought is to tune in tomorrow if you want to learn more about the Super Bowl prop market. And by the way, Adam Chernoff from Coverage, your guest, will be great on props as well. But we're going to talk more about it with Spencer the Guru. He and I have some differing viewpoints on the way this game's going to go, so that'll make the show interesting. And Jim, I think you'll add something to it too. Yeah, Spencer might be thinking of this a little bit square, but as we said at the beginning of the show, sometimes square is right, sometimes it is. So this could be one of those cases. But we will be talking about that 3:30 p.m. tomorrow, the Fantasy Roundup, right back here on bet.NOLA.com. Until then, check out the Caesars Sportsbook, NOLA.com/Caesars. Get that $300 bonus. And in the meantime, we'll be back at the book on Thursday at 4 for our official Super Bowl picks, as well as our favorite props and some golf picks for that Waste Management Open. So for Devin Jackson and Jim Derry, I'm Zach Ewing. This has been Bayou Bets.